Hello there! What is going on, everyone? We got ourselves a Director Krennic preview today for Star Wars Legion, so we're going to take a look at this. This thing is coming out in just over a week. Next Thursday, I believe these should be on your store shelves. I've got my pre-order in. Maybe I'll get this before it gets to you guys. We'll see. But yeah, hopefully, very, very soon. Can't wait because, honestly, this looks amazing. It looks really, really good. I think Krennic is going to be my favorite Imperial commander. And that's really saying a lot because I am in love with Palpatine, even though he's terrible. I love him. I love him. And I love Vader, too. Not so crazy about the others, but everybody has their own merits. Everybody's good in a way. But Krennic looks really, really attractive right now as a commander. He's different, though. And we're going to take a look at his command cards are really what makes it amazing for him. So let's go ahead and take a look at what they've shown us today because he looks really cool. Also, there's a new round of the giveaway starting on right now. So if you'd like to win Krennic or an expansion of your choice in the form of an Amazon gift card for $25, all you have to do is be a subscriber and leave a comment on this or one of my videos. It's as simple as that. So there we go. So first off, we get a good look at the sculpt here. I love when they do these little 3D renderings. They are gorgeous. So there he is. And let's move on to the unit card here. He has all painted up. Now, we've seen plenty of Krennics already from Skullforge Studios. There's a lot of aftermarket Legion figures between Mel Miniatures and all the other ones that are out there. There's really, really nice looking ones. But I would say this does look like a pretty good sculpt. Hopefully, the real version looks as good. We will have to see, though. And it's always tricky to paint white. You know, any character that's got a lot of white, it's always tricky. It's never a real fun time. We're going to try. We're going to really try. We'll see. All right, so let's take a closer look at Director Krennic's card here. We zoomed in on it a little bit. He's 90 points, so his price is really, really competitive. He's got 2 commands and 1 gear upgrade. He's got 1 black die for unarmed. You're obviously not going to be punching with this guy. His ranged attack is pretty respectable, though. He's only ranged 1 to 2, but he's got a red, white, and a black. Pierce 1, surge to crit. So a real solid pistol he's got there. Surge to crit, defensive surge, movement 2, white defense die. You don't have a whole lot of Imperials with white defense die, but he does have the paper armor. He's somebody you're going to want to keep guards with, or maybe he'll even be a good candidate for the upgrade that gives everybody near him Guardian 1. That's something to think about. His abilities are really, 6 health is pretty good. 2 courage. Before we get to his abilities, the stats, 6 health is survivable. You just have to play him smart, I think. He's not somebody that's meant to really be out there doing all the shooting. Although if he has to, his pistol's not bad, and he's got sharpshooter 1. He could take, if you absolutely positively have to shoot somebody, it will work. So compel, very, very fun keyword. So let's take a look at compel. After another friendly unit at range 1 or 2 rallies, if it is suppressed but not panicked, it may gain a suppression token to perform a free move action. So just like Dauntless, right? For the Pathfinders, it's like the same thing, which is good. Because having played multiple games with Pathfinders, that turns out to be a super useful ability. So now, all of a sudden you're turning, with Krennic is turning suppression into an asset for people as opposed to, a nuisance. And then Cunning, which is absolutely wonderful. When your commander-specific command cards are played, if there would be a tie for priority, treat your command card as though it had 1 fewer pip. Now, this is important to say, tie for priority as far as pips go. Like Han's One-pip has actually got 0 pips. That one's never going to tie with Krennic because Krennic doesn't have a 0 pip. Even though that counts as Han's One-pip, it's not a tie for priority in there. It's when you do like a 2-pip versus a 2-pip, a 3-pip versus a 3-pip. But it has to be your commander specific. So your generic cards aren't going to work even if Krennic is your designated commander. It has to be Krennic playing Krennic's card, which is fine because honestly, I think his command cards are so good. If I'm running Krennic, I'm probably going to run all 3 of his command cards, specifically because they're good and because Cunning makes them even better. And he's got Entourage, Imperial Death Troopers. You're going to want to bring Death Troopers with Krennic, right? I can actually also see wanting to bring Royal Guard. And, it's because of the Guardian ability. It's something that you might want to consider. Maybe. It gets expensive at that point, though. And Sharpshooter 1. We already talked about Sharpshooter 1. He looks like just a decent overall dude. You just don't want to have him getting shot at too much. So, You kind of want to hide him until maybe rounds 5 or 6 when he can finally get in there and maybe finish off somebody that's been squeaking by. So let's take a look at what else we got here. He comes with a copy of Strict Orders. We've already seen Strict Orders. She came out with Jin, I believe. So we've already got that. But this one, it works with him. Of course, it's got his artwork on it too. It's just if you don't want to have to rally, just make sure you remove that one. I think this one works actually really well with Death Troopers because they already get to remove one. When you're issuing them an order, he gets, so you can just let your Death Troopers get shot, no problem. They're, and I think it works better with Krennic than probably anybody else. Here's his One-pip. So we're going to talk about all 3 of his pips. Voracious Ambition, a great artwork, by the way. This was from Rogue, well, they're all going to be from Rogue One, right? They're all inspired by Rogue One. That's the only time we've seen Krennic. Well, then, he was in the Catalyst book, too, but we don't really need to talk about that book. All right, so at the start of the activation phase, place 3 random order tokens from your order pool face down on this card. You may look at these order tokens at any time. When you would draw an order token from your order pool, you may choose one of the order tokens on this card and use that order token instead. So basically this works as it's at the start of activation. So you've already issued your command to Krennic. So if he's your only commander, let's just say he's your only commander. This gives you so much control. This gives you a tremendous amount of control. This gives you the amount of control potentially that an entire legion from Palpatine gives you, because you get to put 3 tokens on here. If you've got a diversified list, you're going to have a lot of ability to activate whoever you want. But there's a little bit left up to chance here. First off, it's a One-pip, so you're almost guaranteed to go first. I think that's something that you can easily gloss over, because your opponent, unless you're going up against Han Solo, I mean, there's a couple of corner cases where you might not actually be able to activate who you want first. Like, for example, Palpatine's Two-pip might screw you over. Han's Three-pip might, force a replay. So there's things like that could throw a wrench in your plans. But by and large, you're guaranteed to go first when you play this card. Of course, Han's 0-pip would beat it. Like we already talked about that. At the start of activation, so after you've assigned your order, you're actually going to give an order to Krennic. And if you played your cards right and your unit is close, Krennic is going to assign a Special Forces token to a Death Trooper through Entourage. So now you've got everything else that you've got. You've got your at least 3 core, maybe you've got heavy, maybe you've got some support, maybe you've got some more Special Forces, maybe an operative, whatever. You're going to take your stack, you're going to put 3 random ones on here, face down. Now you can look at them. Ideally, you're going to get a little bit of variety out of these 3, which you don't want. Like, I think Krennic doesn't really need a core heavy. Like, he doesn't need to do those tricks where he's like running 6 core, 1 Death Trooper, and him, and and he plays like a just so he has all this core in the pile. This one allows you to really have a diversified list. Pick the list you want. If you want some speeder bikes, maybe you want 2 speeder bikes. Maybe you want an ATST. Maybe not. But if you're playing for fun, maybe you have an ATST. Maybe you run a tank. Whatever you want to run, I think you can manage it with this. But ideally, you're going to have a couple of different things on your stack. Now, when you go to activate stuff, you can say, oh, well, you know what? I've got all my other Special Forces. Maybe you're running 4 Death Troopers, and you happen to get all 3 Death Troopers in here, and then all the rest is core. You have total control. But ideally, you're going to have almost total control over what you activate, because you can pull from the pile. You can activate the people that already have face-up orders. So you can activate Krennic. You can activate the 1 Death Trooper that you've already given your thing to. You can pull from the pile, or you can activate one of the 3 that you know. So because of Krennic's ability and this card, and you're activating and you're placing a command at Krennic, you're going to have 5 that you can activate. And those could be anywhere. They can be outside of his range too. It's his range independent. So that's really cool. And if you didn't get what you really needed in one of those 5 places, then you pull from the pile. You have a pretty good chance of getting it there. So it's a very, very high probability you can activate whatever you want to activate with this card. So I like that a lot. I really, really like that a lot. It's not always. Like, if you really min-maxed and you manage to have like 6 core and 1 support, Death Trooper and Krennic, you might get 3 core on that card. You might not be able to get the support you actually needed to activate. So You know, you want to build your list that it's like spread out and you have a pretty good chance of everything. Like an even spread really kind of makes this card work well. It's my opinion. We'll see. His Two-pip, deploy the garrison. The Death Troopers getting down from that Reaper. Oh, awesome. So this is 2 troopers. Now this one is specific. It has to be troopers. Granted, Krennic's going to work well with troopers, especially Death Troopers. Again, here you could just do, you know, Krennic and then another trooper. He also gets to activate. All of these cards are improved because Krennic also gets to activate a trooper anyway because of his entourage ability, right? And this Two-pip is going to beat all the other Two-pips. The only thing that beats this Two-pip is a One-pip, or you know, or one of those corner case cards. But naturally, the only card that's going to beat this is a One-pip. So at the start of the activation phase, choose up to 2 friendly trooper units that have face-up order tokens. Each chosen unit may perform a free standby action. So this one works really well with Death Troopers. Why? Because they get a free aim token when they get a free standby action. Huge. So much coolness here, right? So much coolness. So you're going to want to give, you know, you can do a lot with this. First off, you can give this to your E-webs. If you run E-webs with this, you can totally give this to them. Another thing that's really cool about this is if you're going to want, this is going to work really well with a build that maximizes standby. You can wait till late in the game maybe until you have like a control over a certain location, then maximize your standby that way. But the other thing is this also works with HQ uplink. Maybe you've got your E-webs with HQ uplink, and you know they. This is really powerful. They've given an order to themselves because it doesn't say that people that you have given an order to. It's just people with a face-up order token. So maybe you just activate your Death Troopers and you march on down the field. You keep your 2 E-webs hitting their HQ uplink, and then they've got their standby. They're gonna shoot, and then they're gonna take their turn. They're gonna shoot again, and then they're gonna recover, ready their HQ uplink, and get all that stuff back again. There's like a lot of possibilities there. So it's good that it's only up to 2 free standby tokens, because otherwise it would be it could go crazy. But the Death Troopers are really good for standby also. You can give them upgrades that increase their standby range. They're getting that free aim token. They're probably the best option for this, depending. But yeah, that's nasty. Now it is, you do kind of make yourself a little bit of a target, because if you get shot, if you get suppression, you can lose those standby tokens. But you have control over that. So you're going to look at the battlefield. You're going to say, which ones do I want to give it to? You're going to have more than 2 options here for these free standby actions. Krennic is already going to give a Death Trooper a free face-up order token. And so you have 2 more troopers. You can give one to yourself. Granted, Krennic probably doesn't want standby. However, he might want standby actually just to move. He might want standby just to use standby as a move. He tends to think of standby as, oh, well, I need to make sure I'm shooting these people. But maybe you want to move. Maybe you want snow troopers with Krennic. And now you're going to give those snow troopers free standby. Now they get a free move and shoot, because when you do your move, you can do your relentless abilities. You can do those free you can do those free attacks. In theory, if you teamed Krennic up with Vader, you give Vader a free standby. That sounds like fun. Should that be the first battle report as a Krennic Vader list? That would be cool. You'd have all your men in black marching down the field. Vader with Death Troopers. Oh, it'd be expensive though. It'd be very expensive. So I love this. I love being able to give people free standby actions. But standby is a little bit situational dependent. A lot of it's going to depend on your terrain too. If you're playing on more flat boards where you do have line of sight and it's not obstructed towards people that are going to be within range 2 or potentially range 3, depending on which round of the game and where they are. Very, very cool. Let's talk about our Three-pip, which in my opinion is the best one. Or at least the most exciting one. And look at this art. Oh, Annihilation looms. At a glance, this is one of the most beautiful cards they have ever done for this game. The artwork is absolutely phenomenal. It's all of these rebel troopers like, oh, we're doing great. Oh, what's that? Oh. So you have paradise and hell at the same time. Like, what an amazing art piece. What an amazing art piece. And then in the name of the card is totally appropriate too. And it's funny because Krennic didn't really summon the Death Star here. This should almost be a Tarkin card. But yes. So this is Director Orson Krennic and 2 units. So yeah, so you're getting 3 units for his 3-pip. So he gets activated. And the unit, it can be any unit, so it doesn't have to be troopers. So that's useful. Each trooper unit gains a suppression token. If it's round 5 or 6, each trooper unit gains an additional suppression token. So there's so much about this that's really, really cool. There's so much about this that's really cool. The idea that you're giving suppression before activation is potentially huge. If you can hold this off until the end of the game, like if round 5 or 6, 2 suppression to everybody, you're going to deny an action to almost everybody. Now, because Krennic has, the abilities to deal with potentially suppression, the Death Troopers have abilities to deal with suppression. If you have got Vader, here's another one that works really well with Vader. Vader can make sure nobody panics. This is cool with Vader, but even without Vader, this is one of those clutch cards that, again, maybe you're using strict orders too. Here's another a really good one for strict orders. I don't care that the Death Star is going to blow us up. You get over there and get those plans. Why did I sound like Radis? No, that's not. I don't know am I boss nass now? Anyway, so Director Krennic is going to give so much suppression. There's already a lot of suppressive attacks, right? Maybe you are running an ATST with mortar launcher. Maybe you're running other suppressive attacks. Maybe units already have some suppression. What else is really cool? Like imagine on turn 6, you do something like this. Your opponent has an objective that they've captured, right? They've got the package. They've run away with it. They've got that one trooper unit that managed to steal the objective that's going to win them the game, and they've run away. You play this card. That trooper's all the way in this corner of the battlefield, away from their commander. They get 2 suppression tokens. They rally. They fail. They panic. They drop the objective and flee. Now they lose the game because you made them panic from across the board. Dude, this card is sick. It's a little bit more objective dependent because it's more damaging on those units that are going to become suppressed and maybe drop an objective. I think it's even worse on those. And granted, yes, I understand that that's a double-edged sword, but you plan for that. If that's going to hurt you, then you just don't play this card. But if it could help you, or you plan for that, I'll have my Death Troopers grab it because I'll give them the order, and then they'll lose their suppression. They won't panic, or I make sure they're close enough to the commander before I only play this card when I make sure my units are close enough to a commander. All of that. Very, very cool card. I think this card is super fun. Super fun. I think situationally, the 2-pip could be more powerful than this card. I think this 2-pip is very, very situational. I think the 1-pip gives you a lot of control. I think that 1-pip is a really good mid-game, early to mid-game, when you really want to go first to try to snatch that objective or to try to move in on that Jinn that deployed too far forward, and you want absolute control. And that's always the trade-off with 1-pips, right? They don't really have, they give you, hey, I gotta go first, and sometimes but I don't have control. After I do that, I gotta go first. Then what are you? Then you're just stuck pulling from the pile over and over again. And this one really mitigates that. What the 1-pip doesn't have is like and Director Krennic gains 3 extra red dice when he attacks. It doesn't have any kind of offensive boon for you. But what you lack in offense, you make up for in control. The 2-pip on the right turn could be a game winner. I mean, absolutely. There's so many things this combos with too that are really, really cool. HQ uplink, your E-webs, your Vader, Snow Troopers, Palpatine, even. I mean, just for the extra move. I mean, like, that sounds silly, but like Palpatine is big as potential extra move if you get him at the right spot. They'd have to be close enough to him, and not really the best for Palpatine, but potentially good for Palpatine. Just so many really cool things here. I think it's cool. But this third pip, the 3-pip is phenomenal. I love it. I think it's super, super cool. And that's our Orson Krennic preview. So this guy should be out very, very soon. I cannot wait. I've been playing a lot of Rebels lately, and I've been holding off on Empire until these guys came out, and I definitely can't wait to have another commander option. This is really going to make... I think the game is already at a point where we got a lot of list diversity, but this one adds a cool new... Like he's different than Veers. He's at that cheap, like that kind of cheap commander point, like where he's close to Veers, but he's so different than Veers that I really like it. And so, and maybe you run Krennic and Veers together. That's a possibility. I don't think I would really want to do that all that much. I don't know if I would, because I don't know. But that's interesting. I mean, there's so many things to explore, right? There's a lot of play testing to happen, a lot of games to be played. So let me know how you want to run Krennic. Would you run him by himself? Who would you pair him with? And what do you think is the best of these command cards? Don't forget to enter that giveaway. Just be a subscriber, leave a comment. Let me know one of those things. Which command card do you like best? What do you think is one of the best ways to run Krennic? I'll pick some of the best comments and maybe we'll talk about those in my next Q&A. So stay tuned for that. All right, guys, that's all I've got for you today. I want to thank you all so much for watching. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. You can hop in Crabbok.com and check out there. Hop in my Discord and say hi to us over there. And that's about it, guys. I want to thank you all and thank my patrons as well on Patreon. You guys are amazing. If you're interested in joining the team, those links for that in the description below. I want to thank you all so much for watching and have a great day.